Yo, what is up guys? In this video I'm sharing with you all the best equipment for competitive Fortnite at every price range from budget all the way to top of the range to help you know exactly what to buy. With it being Black Friday this week, lots of these products will be on massive discounts and I've left all the links to each product in the description down below so you know exactly where to buy them. If you do enjoy this video, please do drop a like and subscribe for much more competitive content just like this. Okay, so starting off I'm just going to talk about a quick keyboard and mouse combo which I found, and that is the Redragon BS136 gaming keyboard and mouse combo. Now this is £75 retail but only £50 on Black Friday, and again you get both the keyboard and mouse included. Now some of the pros of this include it's comfortable, it has a wireless mouse and a hot swappable keyboard. The mouse also only weighs 89 grams, which is pretty good. However, there are some drawbacks, of course, that the keyboard has no dedicated function keys, they are on the number keys, and that it's only a 75% layout keyboard. But overall it's a pretty good deal for only 50 quid for both a keyboard and mouse. Okay, so now I'm going to go through the budget, middle of the range and top of the range options for every key piece of equipment you need within your setup. Starting off, let's talk about headsets. Now the budget option for headsets is the Turtle Beach Recon 50. Now this retails at just £20 and it's actually reduced to only £13 for Black Friday on Amazon, which is crazy cheap. Now some of the pros of this include, of course, it's massively super cheap and affordable, and also it has a pretty solid microphone for just £13. Now there are a few cons, including that it lacks in bass and also struggles with surround sound, and of course it isn't the best build quality, but if you're only paying £13, can you really complain that much? Next up we have the middle of the range headset, and that is the HyperX Cloud 2 wired. Now this comes in at £50, and of course all the links to all of these products are in the description down below. Now some of the pros of this is that it has a noise cancelling mic, and it also has a 7.1 surround sound system, as well as it being lightweight and comfortable with good sound quality and a solid build overall. Some cons include that the 7.1 surround sound though actually does struggle to come through a little bit, is something that I've found so far with this headset. Lastly, I want to talk about the best option, which is the Audeze Maxwell. Now this comes in at £250 to £350, which is crazy. If you're going to pay that for a headset, you must be rich. Now the pros of this is that of course it sounds amazing and it has an 80+ hour battery life, which is great, as well as its large wireless range, AI noise suppression on mic, and it being extremely comfortable. Now there are surprisingly a few cons to this, and that it is pretty large and heavy, and also you can't manually switch between wireless and Bluetooth. But if this isn't actually a factor to you, then I mean, if you have unlimited money, this is the best headset on the market at the moment. Okay, now let's move on to keyboard, where I have two good options for you guys. Starting off with the budget option, we have the RK61 with red or blue switches. Now this retails normally at £60, but it is reduced down to just £49 for Black Friday. I personally use this keyboard and I can give it a massive vouch. It's really good value for money. Now some of the pros of this keyboard include obviously the fact that it is a 60% keyboard, so it is quite compact. It's also pretty responsive with a solid build, and it has RGB backlighting, which makes it a really cool aesthetic thing within your setup. Now there is a few cons to this, and that being that you can't set macros, and there's also no function keys or arrow keys, but I think overall it's a really good keyboard for money. Now moving on, we have the best or top of the range keyboard, and that is of course the Wooting 60HE. Now this retails at £168.50, which is pretty pricey for a keyboard, but you probably won't have to upgrade this for at least 3 or 4 years in the future. Some of the pros of this keyboard include its great build quality, extremely low latency, low actuation point, very customizable with its software features as well, due to it having a customizable actuation point. I mean, if those guys aren't pros to you guys, I don't know what is. Of course, it is also extremely responsive, which is really good. However, there is of course a couple cons, one being the price, which obviously £168.50 is pretty steep, and also it has relatively mediocre ergonomics. But if these aren't too much of a factor to you and you just want a fast and responsive keyboard, the Wooting 60HE is the one for you. Now, just a quick note to mention that this is of course all from my opinion. There may be some stuff you differ on, but again, the purpose of this video is just to help you guys find the best setup and the best equipment that you need with your budget. Now moving on to mouse, I want to talk about the first option, which is of course the budget option, and that is the Logitech G502 Hero mouse. Now this normally retails at £80, but it is as low as £26 on Amazon for Black Friday, so it's really good value for money. With this, some of the pros being that it's an adjustable weight mouse, which is obviously quite interesting. It also has a 1000 Hz polling rate, it goes up to 25,600 DPI, has 11 programmable buttons, and overall has a very solid build to place your hand on. Now there is a few cons with it being a heavier mouse than most at 121 grams. Obviously this does have an adjustable weight, so that can be combated, but in general it is a pretty large design. Next we have the best mouse on the market at the moment. I think many of you guys know what I'm about to say. If you want a long-term mouse, this is the one for you. It's the G Pro Superlight 2 Lightspeed. Now this comes in at £150, however you can snatch it for just £120 on Amazon for Black Friday, the link to which is in the description down below. The pros for this are it's very light at just 60 grams, sorry, not 68 grams, and it's comfortable for all grips with it being smooth, speedy, low latency. It's just great all round. There are a few cons of course, which is the price, but that doesn't actually impact the mouse itself. There is no DPI switch though, which some players may find difficult. However, if you can get comfortable with this mouse, you're not going to need to replace it, and it's going to be a class mouse for your game. Now next up I want to talk about your monitor, where I have a budget, middle of the range and best value for money option. Starting off with the budget option, I'm going for the Kruger gaming monitor, which comes in at just £100 and £85 on Black Friday for a monitor, which is very affordable. Obviously this being a pro, that it is cheap, and it also runs up to 180 Hz. For only £85, that's very good value for money. Now the monitor is curved and has a 1 millisecond response time, which is also very good. However, there are a couple drawbacks, but you come to expect this with the price of just £85, those being that it only runs up to 1080p and is only 24 inches in size. Now moving on to the middle of the range monitor, we have the AOC Gaming CQ27G2 SE. Yes, that is a bit of a mouthful to say. It comes in at £215 and it's reduced to just £160 for Black Friday. The pros of this being it's a 165Hz monitor, and it also has quality up to 1440p. Now it does also, like the earlier monitor, have a 1 millisecond response time as well as low input lag. It is also a 27-inch monitor, so bigger than the previous Kruger gaming monitor that we just mentioned. However, there are some cons, one being that it is a curved monitor. Again, it's up to you whether you actually choose to like a curved monitor or not. This is just personal preference, whether you view that as a benefit or a drawback of a certain monitor. Next up, let's talk about the best value for your money gaming monitor. We have the Corey gaming monitor. Now this comes in at £220 and is reduced to just £191 for Black Friday. It has an adjustable stand and runs up to 240Hz in 1440p, with it being 27 inches inside and 1 millisecond response time. Those are some incredible statistics for this monitor, coming in at under £200 on Black Friday. There are cons, which is some of Corey's monitors have been known previously to have ghosting in the past. However, that doesn't seem to be as much of an issue with this typical Corey gaming monitor. Moving on now to talk about mouse pads, which is crucial for those of you playing on keyboard and mouse, so I'd make sure you pay attention here. Starting off with the budget option, we have the cheap SteelSeries QCK Standard, which comes in at just £14.99 for Black Friday. The pros of this is it is a non-slip and it has a pretty smooth glide for a mouse pad. I myself have used this and I would highly recommend. There are some cons though, including that you need to weigh it down when you first receive the item, as it is rolled up when it's transported, so weighing it down on the sides to make sure that it doesn't roll up on your desk is very crucial. Next up, we have the middle of the range mouse pad, and that's the Corsair MM300 Pro. Now this comes in at £30, and some of the pros include its high durability as well as it being relatively affordable for a mouse pad at only 30 quid. It is also very stable and it comes in multiple different sizes to fit the needs of your desk. The cons, however, is it is not everyone's style, but again that comes down to personal preference. Now we have the top of the range mouse pad, and that is the Razer Atlas, which comes in at £135. This is only if you are really serious about going pro. The pros for this mouse pad include its low friction, it being easy to clean, and also the mouse sensors track very well across this pad. Now of course there are some drawbacks, one being the extremely high price of £135, and also this mouse pad is pretty large, so make sure you have adequate desk space if you are going to make this purchase. Now moving on, I want to talk about a couple of honourable mentions to finish off today's video. Starting off, we have a monitor, which is the Alienware AW2524HF 500Hz monitor. Of course 500Hz, it's crazy. Now this comes in at £640. So the pros of this of course being that it has 500Hz, it's 24.5 inch, it has a solid build and a class leading colour saturation and also contrast. The cons, however, it is extremely expensive and requires a very strong PC to run run games at actual 500 FPS. So I'd only recommend buying this if 1, you have a lot of disposable income, and 2, you have a goated PC. Lastly, for my second honourable mention, I want to talk about the glorious Model O wired mouse. Now this comes in normally at £50, but it's reduced to just £25 on Black Friday. This is an absolute steal. The pros of this are its low click latency, it being pretty well built, and also it's really lightweight at just 66.9 grams. The cons, however, is it's pretty not suitable for people with small hands due to it being a relatively large mouse. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy today's video, click this video on screen so you know the adequate routine to help you go pro with your brand new equipment.